Sometimes the bravest thing you'll ever do is open your mouth when everyone expects you to stay silent. Carmen Torres stood outside that boardroom door, heart hammering so hard she could barely breathe. Inside, millionaires, lawyers, men in suits worth more than her entire year's salary. And she was about to walk in there in her $10 cleaning uniform and tell them they were all being played. She could lose everything. Her job, her rent, her ability to feed her son. Every instinct screamed at her to walk away. But Carmen had seen this exact nightmare before. She knew what happened when good people stayed silent. So she did something terrifying. She opened that door. And the words that came out of her mouth stopped a $500 million deal and changed 2 lives forever. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Before we dive into today's story, I want to know where in the world you're watching from right now. Drop your city and country in the comments below. I love seeing our global community come together. All right, let's get into this incredible story. 11:47 at night. Derek Sinclair was about to sign his name. $500 million. $500 million. He'd been negotiating this deal for 6 months. 6 months of lawyers and board meetings and sleepless nights. And God, he was so tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of carrying everything alone. Tired of pretending he was okay 2 years after his wife died. Around the table, 8 board members waited. All of them wanted him to sign. Across from him, the Meridian Corporation executives. Polished. Professional. Promising everything he needed to hear. Just sign it, Derek, his CFO had said an hour ago. You've earned this. Take the money. Rest. So Derek brought the pen to paper. This was it. One signature and it would all be over. That's when he heard the door. The squeak of a cleaning cart wheel that needed oil. Carmen Torres stood in the doorway. Navy blue uniform with a name tag pinned slightly crooked. Hair pulled back in a bun that had gone loose during her shift. Hands rough from bleach and industrial soap. She cleaned these offices 5 nights a week. Derek Sinclair had never once asked her name. And now she stood there, in a room that cost more per hour than she made in a month, looking like she might throw up from fear. But she didn't run. The room erupted. Who the hell is this? Security, get her out of here. This is a private meeting. But Derek didn't call security. Because something about the way Carmen was looking at him reminded him of his wife. Not her face. Not her voice. That look in her eyes. The look Sarah had when she told him 3 years ago that something was wrong. That she needed to see a doctor. That look of knowing something terrible and choosing to say it anyway. Carmen's voice came out quieter than she meant it to. Mr. Sinclair, please don't sign that. The room detonated. People standing. Shouting. Demanding she be removed. The lead Meridian executive stood, his smooth voice suddenly edged with steel. Mr. Sinclair, control your staff. Derek should have dismissed her. Should have signed the contract. Should have taken the money and ended this nightmare. But his hand wouldn't move. Because something in her voice, something in the way her hands were shaking but her eyes were steady, told him she knew something. Something none of these lawyers or executives or board members had told him. Derek Sinclair set down his pen. And then he said 5 words that no one in that room saw coming. Everyone leave. Except her. Now. One by one, the most powerful people Derek knew walked out of that room, leaving him alone with a woman whose last name he didn't even know. How did they get here? How does a billionaire CEO and a woman who empties his trash cans at midnight end up in a moment like this? The answer starts 48 hours earlier. And it's a story about 2 people who'd both lost everything and didn't know yet they were about to save each other. Let me show you who they were before everything changed. Derek Sinclair built his empire from nothing. Not from family money. Not from connections. From code and caffeine and refusing to sleep. 23 years later, Sinclair Systems was worth $2 billion. $2 billion. But it cost him everything else. His wife Sarah died 2 years ago. They found the cancer too late. 6 months from diagnosis to funeral. And Derek never recovered. He just kept working. 16-hour days. 18-hour days. Sometimes he slept in his office. Because when he went home to that empty apartment, he could still feel her missing. His daughter Sophie was 14. Failing school. Acting out. Pulling away. And Derek didn't know how to reach her anymore. He knew how to code. How to build companies. How to close deals. But he didn't know how to talk about grief with a daughter who'd lost her mother. So when his board pushed him to sell, when they said, Derek, you've been running on fumes for 2 years. Take the money. Rest. Heal. Part of him wanted to believe them. That money could solve something. That walking away could heal something. That he could finally stop running. But you can't outrun grief. And you can't buy your way out of pain. Derek Sinclair was about to learn that the hard way. 40 floors below Derek's office, Carmen Torres was starting her shift. 10 p.m. She had 40 floors to clean before sunrise. Bathrooms, conference rooms, executive offices where people made more in an hour than she made in a month. Carmen was 42 years old. Single mother. One son, Adrian, 16. Smart kid. Good kid. Kid who deserved better than what she could give him right now. She took the night shift for 2 reasons. 1, she could be home when he was at school. Help with homework. Make sure he ate something other than cereal. Be there. 2, it paid 60 cents more an hour than day shift. 60 cents times 40 hours meant groceries. Meant keeping the lights on. But here's what people didn't notice about Carmen Torres. She was paying attention to the contracts people threw away, the documents left on desks, the careless passwords on sticky notes. And hidden at the very bottom of her cart, underneath the trash bags and spray bottles and rags, was a master's degree in business administration. University of Pennsylvania. Wharton School of Business. Top 5% of her class. So how does a woman with an Ivy League MBA end up cleaning toilets at midnight? 7 years ago, Carmen Torres was VP of Strategy at Davidson & Cole. Corner office. 6-figure salary. Respect. She was good at her job. Brilliant, actually. And then Meridian Corporation came calling. They smiled. Promised partnership. Told everyone it would be good for the company. But Carmen found the real plan. Asset liquidation. Workforce reduction. 1,800 people about to lose everything. She tried to warn her CEO. He didn't listen. Meridian made sure everyone knew Carmen Torres was a troublemaker. Unreliable. Paranoid. Not a team player. Within 6 months, no one in corporate America would hire her. Her husband Rafael was sick. Cancer. Stage 4. She needed insurance. She needed income. She needed to keep fighting. So Carmen Torres took a job cleaning the offices. And she never complained. Never asked for pity. She just kept going. Because that's what you do when giving up isn't an option. It was 20 past midnight when their worlds first touched. Carmen came in to clean Derek's office. He was still there. Same suit he'd worn for 2 days. Coffee cups scattered across his desk. Eyes red from staring at screens. Carmen moved carefully. People like Derek Sinclair, they didn't like to be reminded that people like her existed. That's when she saw it. In his trash can. Crumpled. Thrown away. A photograph. Derek. His wife. His daughter. Maybe 7, 8 years ago. Before cancer. Before death. Before everything broke. Carmen stood there, holding that photograph, knowing she should just throw it away and move on. But something in that picture, the way his wife was looking at him, reminded Carmen of how Rafael used to look at her. So she did something she wasn't supposed to do. She smoothed out the photograph and placed it on his desk, where he'd have to look at it, where he couldn't pretend it didn't exist. Derek's voice came out rough, like he hadn't spoken in hours. You didn't have to do that. Carmen looked at him, really looked, across the space that separated their worlds. No one should throw away people they love, she said quietly. Even by accident. Something in Derek's chest split open. He picked up the photograph. And for the first time in 2 years, he let himself really look at Sarah's face. And didn't look away. Carmen went back to emptying trash. Derek sat there, holding that picture, crying silently, while a woman whose name he didn't even know gave him permission to grieve. When he finally spoke again, his voice was different. Softer. Human. What's your name? Carmen looked up, genuinely surprised. Carmen. Carmen Torres. Derek stood, extended his hand, not like a CEO to an employee, like a human being to another human being who'd just shown him kindness. Derek Sinclair, he said. Carmen's hand was rough. His was soft. But the handshake was equal. And that's when Carmen saw it. The letterhead on his desk. Meridian Corporation. Her blood went cold. That name. That cursed name. The company that destroyed her career. Blacklisted her. Took everything. And now they were here. Circling Derek Sinclair. Carmen wanted to say something. Wanted to warn him right there. But she couldn't. Not yet. She needed proof. She needed to be sure. So Carmen Torres finished cleaning his office, said goodnight, and made a decision. She had 48 hours before Derek Sinclair signed that contract. 48 hours to find proof that Meridian was lying. 48 hours to save 2,000 jobs. 48 hours to do what she couldn't do 7 years ago. So she started digging. And what she found in the trash, in the recycling bins, in the documents powerful people thought no one would ever read, was going to change everything. Carmen knew where executives got careless. Not in the main offices where assistants watched. Not in the conference rooms with security cameras pointed at every corner. In the guest offices. The temporary spaces where visiting executives from other companies set up for a few days and forgot they weren't home. It was 2:15 in the morning when Carmen pushed her cart into the Meridian Executive Suite on the 38th floor. They'd been using this space for 3 weeks. Meeting with Derek's team. Negotiating terms. Building trust. The office was empty now. Just the ghost of expensive cologne and the hum of a laptop left running. Carmen started with the recycling bin. People always thought recycling was safer than trash. Like shredding documents but forgetting the digital trail. 3rd page down she found it. A printed email mostly intact. The header read internal only. Asset optimization timeline. Her hands started shaking as she read. Phase 1, acquire Sinclair systems. Public messaging, partnership and growth. Actual timeline, 6 months to full integration. Phase 2, workforce optimization. Retain 12% of technical staff. Eliminate redundancies across all departments. Estimated reduction, 1,847 positions. Phase 3, patent liquidation. Sinclair's AR interface technology to be licensed to Quantum Industries for $340 million. Cloud infrastructure to be sold to DataCore. Estimated total asset value post-acquisition, $1.2 billion. Carmen's stomach turned. They were offering Derek $500 million. But they planned to strip the company for over $1 billion. And nearly 2,000 people would lose their jobs. She photographed every page with shaking hands. Then she kept digging. In the paper shredder bin, she found strips that hadn't been emptied. She spent 20 minutes piecing them together on the conference table like a jigsaw puzzle. Another internal memo, this one about managing CEO transition. Sinclair will retain advisory role for 90 days post-acquisition. Ensure NDA prevents disclosure of internal restructuring. Board has been pre-negotiated. They understand the optimization requirements and have agreed to messaging strategy. Carmen's blood ran cold. Derek's own board knew. They knew Meridian was lying, and they were helping them do it. She photographed everything. Documents. Shredded memos. Even sticky notes with handwritten figures that didn't match the public offer. By 3:30 a.m., she had enough evidence to bury Meridian's deal. But she had a bigger problem. Who would believe her? She was a cleaning lady with a grudge against Meridian. Derek didn't even know her last name. His board was compromised. His lawyers were probably getting kickbacks. Carmen sat in that empty office, surrounded by evidence of betrayal, and realized something terrifying. The only way to stop this was to walk into that boardroom and make Derek Sinclair listen to a woman he had every reason to dismiss. She had 46 hours left. Before we continue, I need to ask you something. Have you ever discovered a truth that you knew could cost you everything to reveal? Drop a yes or no in the comments. And if this story is hitting home for you, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Because what Carmen does in the next 24 hours will shock you. Let's continue. The next morning, Derek woke up on his office couch. Again, he'd stopped going home 3 nights ago. Sophie wasn't talking to him anyway. Easier to just stay here and work. His phone showed 14 missed calls. 6 from board members. 3 from Meridian executives. 5 from his CFO. The message was clear. Sign the deal. Stop stalling. Take the win. Derek pulled up the contract on his computer. 500 pages of legal language that his attorneys had assured him was standard. The offer was generous. The terms were fair. His board had voted unanimously to accept. So why did his gut keep twisting? He thought about Carmen. About what she'd said. No one should throw away people they love. He'd been throwing away everything since Sarah died. His relationship with Sophie. His own health. The company he'd built from nothing. All of it, thrown in the trash like that photograph. Maybe that's why he couldn't sign. Not because the deal was bad, but because signing it felt like throwing away the last piece of himself that still mattered. His office door opened. His CFO, Richard Chun, walked in without knocking. "We need to talk." "I'm thinking," Derek said. "You've been thinking for 6 months. Meridian needs an answer by tomorrow night. If you don't sign, they walk. And we've already leaked this to the press. If it falls through, our stock crashes, shareholders sue, and the board will have no choice but to vote you out." Derek looked at Richard. They'd worked together for 15 years. Built this company together. Do you want me to sign? Richard hesitated, just for a second, but Derek caught it. I want you to do what's best for the company. That's not what I asked. Richard sat down, suddenly looking older than his 42 years. Derek, you're exhausted. You're grieving. You're not thinking clearly. This deal gives you an exit with dignity. Take it. Go be with your daughter. Heal. Let someone else carry this weight. And the employees? What happens to them? They'll be fine. Meridian promised retention packages. Promised. Derek, please. Get out. Richard stood. You have until tomorrow at 11 p.m. After that, the board moves forward without you. When the door closed, Derek sat in the silence of his office. Tomorrow at 11 p.m. 29 hours. He pulled out his phone and did something he hadn't done in months. He called Sophie. She answered on the fourth ring. What? Hi, sweetheart. I'm in class. I know. I just wanted to hear your voice. Silence. Then softer. Are you okay, Dad? I don't know. I don't think so. More silence. He could hear her breathing. Finally, she said, Mom wouldn't want you to be like this. Like what? Alone. You're always alone now. Derek's throat tightened. I'm sorry. Then come home. Actually come home. Not just to sleep for 3 hours and leave again. Come home and have dinner with me. Like we used to. I will. After tomorrow. After I figure this out. You always say that. Her voice cracked. You've been saying that for 2 years. The line went dead. Derek sat there, phone in his hand, staring at the family photo Carmen had rescued from his trash. Sarah smiling. Sophie young and happy. Him, looking like a man who still believed in something. When did he stop being that person? His computer pinged. Email from Meridian. Looking forward to closing tomorrow. The future is bright. Derek stared at those words. The future is bright. Then why did it feel like darkness? Carmen didn't sleep. She spent her day off researching, cross-referencing, building an airtight case. By 6 p.m., she had everything organized on her phone. Photographs. Timeline. Financial projections showing Meridian's real plan. But she still had one problem. Access. She couldn't just walk into Derek's office during business hours. Security would stop her. His assistant would turn her away. And she certainly couldn't get into the boardroom where the final signing was scheduled for tomorrow night. Unless she was supposed to be there. Carmen called her supervisor. Maria, I need to pick up the executive floor tomorrow night. Emergency cleaning before the big meeting. You're not scheduled. I know. But Marcus called in sick, and they specifically requested someone experienced. It's a high-profile client meeting. They want it perfect. Maria sighed. Fine. But you're covering Marcus's route too. All 40 floors. Thank you. Carmen hung up and stared at her uniform hanging on the back of her door. Tomorrow night, she'd walk into that boardroom with her cart and her mop and her evidence. And she'd have one chance to make Derek Sinclair listen. One chance to save 2,000 jobs. One chance to stop Meridian from doing to him what they did to her. One chance to prove that 7 years ago, she was right. Her son Adrian walked into the kitchen. Mom, you okay? You look stressed. Carmen pulled him into a hug. I'm okay, baby. Just tomorrow's a big day. Bigger than usual? Yeah, bigger than usual. He pulled back and looked at her with his father's eyes. Raphael's eyes. You're gonna do something crazy, aren't you? I can tell. Carmen smiled. Maybe a little crazy. Is it going to get you in trouble? Probably. Is it the right thing to do? Yes. Adrian nodded. Then do it. Dad would have. Carmen's eyes stung. Raphael would have. He'd always been the brave one. The one who spoke up. The one who fought. And now it was her turn. I love you, she said. Love you too, Mom. And hey, whatever happens tomorrow, I'm proud of you. After he went to his room, Carmen sat at the kitchen table and practiced what she'd say. How do you tell a billionaire that everyone he trusts is lying to him? How do you make him listen when you're no one? She didn't have good answers. But she had the truth. And sometimes the truth was enough. It had to be enough. The next day crawled by. Derek couldn't focus. Every contract he looked at blurred. Every email felt meaningless. The clock on his computer seemed to mock him. 2 p.m. 5 p.m. 8 p.m. 3 hours until the signing. His board members started arriving at 9, gathering in the executive lounge, making small talk, celebrating a deal that hadn't closed yet. The Meridian executives arrived at 9:30, confident, smiling, shaking hands like old friends. Derek's attorney laid out the contracts at 10, 500 pages, 20 places to initial, one signature line at the end. Everything's in order, his attorney said. Just like we discussed. Clean deal. No surprises. No surprises. Derek wondered what Carmen would think of that phrase. Carmen. He hadn't seen her since that night with the photograph. 2 nights ago. 3. Time blurred. But he kept thinking about what she'd said. About not throwing away the people you love. Was that what he was doing? Throwing away 2,000 employees because he was too tired to fight anymore? The conference room filled up. Board members. Meridian executives. Lawyers. Accountants. Everyone in expensive suits, drinking expensive water, making expensive small talk. Derek sat at the head of the table and felt completely alone. At 10:45, his assistant brought in the final contracts. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Sinclair. The Meridian CEO, James Bradford, smiled. No pressure, Derek. But we do need to close by 11 to hit our filing deadline. Everyone was watching him. Waiting. Expecting. Derek picked up his pen. The weight of it felt impossibly heavy. That's when he heard a sound in the hallway. The squeak of a wheel that needed oil. A sound he'd heard 100 times before but never really noticed. A cleaning cart. The door opened, and Carmen Torres walked in. This is it. The moment everything changes. But before we get to what happens next, I need to know. If you were in that room right now, whose side would you be on? Team Carmen or Team Derek? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you haven't already, smash that subscribe button because what's about to happen will give you chills. Here we go. The room fell silent. Not the peaceful kind of silent. The shocked, confused, what the hell is happening kind of silent. Carmen stood in the doorway, her cleaning cart behind her, looking at a room full of people who wanted her gone. Derek's assistant jumped up. I'm so sorry, Mr. Sinclair. I'll get her out of here. Wait, Derek said. He didn't know why. But something in Carmen's face, the fear mixed with determination, made him stop everything. Mr. Sinclair, the Meridian CEO said, his voice tight, we're in the middle of something. I can see that, Derek said. He looked at Carmen. Really looked at her. Carmen, what are you doing here? Her voice shook, but she didn't back down. I need to talk to you. Before you sign that. This is inappropriate, one of his board members snapped. Derek, send her away. But Derek held up his hand. Everyone out. What? 3 people said at once. I said everyone out. Except Carmen. Derek, you can't be serious, Richard, his CFO, said. We have 15 minutes until the deadline. Then I suggest you use those 15 minutes to get some coffee. Because I'm not signing anything until I hear what she has to say. The Meridian CEO's face went hard. Mr. Sinclair, if you don't sign by 11, then I don't sign. Now get out of my conference room. Nobody moved. The tension was so thick Derek could barely breathe. Finally, slowly, people started standing. Walking out. Throwing angry glances at Carmen. Whispering to each other. The Meridian executives were the last to leave. James Bradford stopped at the door. I hope you know what you're doing. So do I, Derek said. The door closed. It was just Derek and Carmen. And $500 million sitting on the table between them. Derek set down his pen. Talk to me. Carmen's hands were shaking so badly, she almost dropped her phone. But she pulled up the first photograph. Walked to the table. Set it down in front of him. Meridian is lying to you, she said. Everything they've told you about this deal, it's a lie. Derek stared at the document. Internal email. Asset optimization timeline. His stomach dropped. Where did you get this? From their trash. You went through their trash? Someone has to. Because they're not going to tell you the truth. She showed him another photo. And another. Each one worse than the last. Phase 2 workforce optimization. 88% reduction. Patent liquidation. Board pre-negotiation. Derek's hands started shaking. My board knew. They all knew. They've been planning this for months. You're the only one they kept in the dark. He looked up at her. This woman who cleaned his office. Who'd saved a photograph from his trash. Who'd somehow seen what everyone else had hidden from him. Why? His voice cracked. Why are you telling me this? You could lose your job. You could get sued. Why risk it? Carmen's eyes filled with tears. Because 7 years ago, I tried to warn my CEO that Meridian was doing this exact same thing to our company. And he didn't listen. And 1,800 people lost their jobs. Including me. Derek stared at her. You worked for Davidson and Cole. I was VP of strategy. And Meridian destroyed my career when I tried to stop them. They blacklisted me. Made sure I'd never work in corporate America again. And I've spent 7 years cleaning the offices I used to run. 7 years watching while they did this to other companies. Other people. She wiped her eyes, angry at herself for crying. So when I saw their name on your desk, when I realized they were coming for you, I couldn't stay quiet again. I couldn't watch them destroy another good company. Another 2,000 lives. I couldn't. Derek stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the city below. All those lights. All those people. 2,000 of them depended on him making the right choice in the next 10 minutes. He thought about Sarah, about what she would say if she were here. She'd always been the moral compass, the one who knew right from wrong without hesitation. He thought about Sophie, about the man he wanted to be for her, the father who taught her to do the right thing even when it was hard. He thought about Carmen, about the courage it took to walk into this room, to risk everything for people she didn't even know. Then he thought about himself, about the man he'd become in the last 2 years. Running, hiding, throwing away everything that mattered. Derek turned around. Thank you. Carmen blinked. For what? For being brave enough to tell me the truth. For giving a damn when you had every reason not to. He walked to the door, opened it. The hallway was full of people waiting, watching. The deal is off, Derek said. Chaos erupted. Shouting. Threats. The Meridian CEO pushed forward. You're making a massive mistake. We'll sue you for breach of. Sue me. Derek's voice was ice. I'd love to see you explain these documents in court. He held up Carmen's phone. Internal memos about asset liquidation, workforce reduction, pre-negotiated board agreements. Should make for interesting discovery. James Bradford's face went white. Where did you get those? Doesn't matter. What matters is I have them. And if you try to sue me, they become public record. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave my building. You're going to withdraw your offer. And you're going to hope I don't forward these to the SEC. The Meridian executives looked at each other. Then, without another word, they left. Derek's board members were next. Derek, you're being emotional. You're not thinking clearly. Actually, Richard, I'm thinking clearly for the first time in 2 years. And I'm thinking I need a new board. You're fired. All of you. I'll have your termination paperwork ready by morning. You can't fire the entire board. Watch me. Now get out. They left. Angry. Threatening lawsuits. But they left. Finally, it was just Derek and Carmen again. In the empty conference room. With a deal that would never be signed. Derek walked back to the table. Picked up the contract. And very deliberately tore it in half. What happens now? Carmen asked. Now. Derek smiled. The first real smile in 2 years. Now I rebuild this company the right way. With people I can trust. He looked at Carmen. How would you feel about being my chief strategy officer? Carmen's mouth fell open. What? You just saved my company. Saved 2,000 jobs. You saw what everyone else missed. You did what everyone else was too scared to do. He extended his hand. I need people like you. Will you help me? Carmen stared at his hand. At this man who'd actually listened. Who'd chosen integrity over money. Who'd given her a second chance. She took his hand. Yes. I'll help you. And for the first time in 7 years, Carmen Torres felt like herself again. Wow. Just wow. I need to know right now. Would you have walked away from $500 million to do the right thing? Be honest in the comments. There's no judgment here. And if this story is inspiring you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Hit that share button. Because we're not done yet. The best part is still coming. The next morning, the news broke. Sinclair Systems had rejected Meridian's acquisition offer. The business press went crazy. Stock analysts predicted disaster. Competitors circled. But Derek didn't care. He spent the morning calling every employee. All 2,000 of them. Told them the truth. Told them he'd chosen them over easy money. Told them they were building something worth keeping. By noon, he'd received 400 emails. Employees thanking him. Offering support. Promising to work harder than ever. By evening, 3 major investors called to back him. We invest in integrity, one said. You just proved you have it. Carmen started on Monday. She walked into Sinclair Systems in a business suit she'd borrowed money to buy. Into a corner office with her name on the door. Into a second chance she'd stopped believing was possible. The first thing she did was hire investigators to build a case against Meridian. By Wednesday, they had enough evidence to refer the matter to the SEC. By Friday, Meridian was under federal investigation. You didn't have to do that, Derek said. You got your job back. You could have let it go. No, Carmen said. I couldn't. Because they're doing this to other companies. Other people. And it has to stop. Derek nodded. He understood. Justice wasn't just about personal redemption. It was about making sure the same thing didn't happen to someone else. They worked side by side for the next 6 months, restructuring the company, building new partnerships, creating something sustainable instead of something flashy. And slowly, Derek started healing. He went home at 6 every night, had dinner with Sophie, went to her school events, started therapy, started processing his grief instead of running from it. Sophie noticed. "You're different," she said one night over pizza. "Different how? You're here. Like actually here. Not just physically but like present." Derek smiled. "I had someone remind me not to throw away the people I love." "Who?" "A friend. Someone who was brave enough to tell me the truth when I needed to hear it." Sophie looked at him curiously but didn't push. Instead, she said, "I'm glad you're back, Dad." "Me too, sweetheart. Me too." 8 months after the boardroom confrontation, Sinclair Systems was thriving. Stock was up 30%. Employee retention was at an all-time high. 3 new products were in development, and Derek and Carmen had become inseparable. Not romantically, not yet, but something deeper. A partnership built on mutual respect. Trust earned through fire. They worked late most nights, strategizing, planning and building. One evening, Derek found Carmen in her office, staring at a photograph. Her late husband Raphael. Young, smiling, healthy. "How long has it been?" Derek asked gently. 6 years. "Cancer. Same as Sarah." "I'm sorry." "Me too." Carmen set down the photo. "Some days I still can't believe he's gone. Like I'll go home and he'll be there, making his terrible coffee and singing off-key to Adrian." Derek smiled. Sarah couldn't sing either. But she'd do it anyway. Loudly. Usually in the car where I couldn't escape. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. 2 people who'd loved and lost. Who understood that grief doesn't have an expiration date. "Can I ask you something?" Carmen said. "Anything." "That night in the boardroom. When everyone was screaming at you to throw me out. What made you listen?" Derek thought about it. "Honestly, I saw the same look in your eyes that Sarah had when she told me she was sick. That look of knowing something terrible and choosing to say it anyway because it mattered more than fear." He paused. "And I couldn't ignore that. Not again." "What do you mean again?" Derek's face tightened. "The year before Sarah died, she asked me to slow down. To spend more time at home. She said she felt like something was wrong, but I was too busy to listen. I thought she was just stressed. I said we'd talk about it later." His voice cracked. 3 months later, she collapsed. "And it was too late." "Derek, that's not your fault." "Maybe. But I've lived with it for 2 years. The guilt that if I'd just listened, if I'd just paid attention, maybe we would have caught it earlier. Maybe she'd still be here." Carmen reached over and took his hand. "You can't know that. Cancer is cruel and random and unfair. But what you can know is that Sarah loved you. And she wouldn't want you drowning in guilt." "How do you do it?" Derek asked. "How do you keep going after losing someone?" "Honestly, some days I don't know. But I look at Adrian and I remember that Raphael lives on in him. His kindness. His humor. His stubborn refusal to give up." She smiled. "And I remember that the best way to honor the people we've lost is to live in a way that would make them proud." Derek squeezed her hand. "I think you're doing that. So are you." They sat there, hands clasped, 2 broken people helping each other heal. And Derek realized something that terrified and excited him in equal measure. He was falling in love with Carmen Torres. 1 year after Carmen had saved his company, Derek stood at her apartment door. His heart was hammering. Sophie had told him just an hour ago, "Dad, just tell her. She looks at you the same way you look at her." Carmen opened the door in sweatpants and an old t-shirt, hair in a messy bun, no makeup. She looked beautiful. "Derek, what are you doing here? Is everything okay? I need to talk to you." "Okay. Come in." She stepped aside. Her apartment was small but warm. Photos of Adrian everywhere. Books stacked on every surface. The smell of coffee and vanilla. Adrian was in his room with headphones on. Carmen led Derek to the small living room. "You want coffee? Tea? You look kind of pale." "I'm fine. I just need to say something, and if I don't say it now I'll lose my nerve." Carmen sat down, concerned. "Derek, you're freaking me out. What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong. Everything's actually really right. That's the problem." Derek took a breath. "A year ago, you walked into my boardroom and changed my life. You saved my company. But more than that, you reminded me what it felt like to care about something. To fight for something. To be brave. Derek, please let me finish. Because if I stop now I'll lose my nerve." He sat down next to her. Not touching, but close. "This past year, working with you, talking with you, learning from you, it's been the best year I've had since Sarah died. You make me want to be better. You challenge me. You see me in a way no one else does. Carmen's eyes were wide. What are you saying? I'm saying I'm in love with you. And I know that's complicated. We work together. We're both still healing from losing people we loved. And maybe the timing is terrible. But Sophie told me tonight that the worst thing you can say is no. And honestly, not telling you felt worse than any rejection could. Carmen stared at him, eyes shining with unshed tears. Derek's heart sank. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have. I should go. No. Carmen grabbed his hand. Don't go. Carmen, it's okay. You don't have to. I love you too. Derek froze. What? I love you too. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I've loved you for months. Maybe since that first night when you asked my name. When you treated me like a person instead of furniture. When you listened to me even though you had every reason not to. Then why are you crying? Because I'm scared. Her voice broke. I lost Raphael. Losing him almost destroyed me. And falling for you means risking that pain again. It means opening myself up to the possibility of loss. And I don't know if I'm strong enough. Derek took her face in his hands. Wiped away her tears with his thumbs. I'm scared too. Terrified, actually. But I've spent 2 years running from pain. From life. From anything that might hurt. And you know what I learned? What? That running doesn't work. Pain finds you anyway. But you know what else finds you? Joy. Connection. Love. The things that make life worth living. He leaned his forehead against hers. I don't want to run anymore. I want to risk it. With you. Carmen closed her eyes. What if we mess this up? Then we mess it up. Together. And we figure it out. Because you're the bravest person I know, Carmen Torres. You walked into a room full of millionaires and told them the truth. You rebuilt your life from nothing. You saved my company and my soul. If anyone can do this, it's you. It's us. Carmen opened her eyes. And smiled through her tears. Okay. Let's do this. Let's be brave together. Derek kissed her. Soft and gentle and full of promise. And for the first time in years, both of them felt something they'd stopped believing in. Hope. The wedding was small. Just close friends and family. Sophie was the maid of honor. Adrian walked Carmen down the aisle. Derek cried through his vows. They honeymooned in Italy. Ate too much pasta. Drank too much wine. Laughed until their stomachs hurt. When they got back, they found out Sinclair Systems had just landed its biggest contract ever. A 5-year partnership with a Fortune 100 company. The deal Carmen had been negotiating for months. You did it, Derek said, pulling her into his office and kissing her. We did it, Carmen corrected. This company works because we're partners. In everything. Derek smiled. Partners. In business. In life. In healing. In hope. Sophie and Adrian had become close too. Siblings by choice if not by blood. They'd started a mentorship program at Sophie's school, matching students with professionals in different fields. Carmen spoke at the first event. Told her story. How she'd lost everything and built it back piece by piece. The system isn't fair, she told the students. Sometimes you do everything right and you still lose. But that doesn't mean you give up. It means you find another way. You keep fighting. You help each other. You speak truth even when it's scary. Especially when it's scary. After the event, a young woman approached Carmen. I'm a senior. I have a 4.0 GPA. But my family can't afford college. And I don't know if any of this matters because the deck is stacked against people like me. Carmen saw herself in that girl. Young. Brilliant. Terrified that hard work wouldn't be enough. What's your name? Maria. I'm going to tell you something. The deck is stacked. The system is rigged. But you know what? You're smart. You're determined. And you have people who will fight for you. Carmen pulled out a business card. Call me Monday. We have a scholarship program at Sinclair Systems. Full ride to any school you get into. Plus a paid internship. Maria's eyes filled with tears. Seriously? Seriously. Because 7 years ago, I was where you are. And no one helped me. But I can help you. And you'll help someone else someday. That's how we fix things. One person at a time. That night, Derek found Carmen on their balcony, looking out at the city. He wrapped his arms around her from behind. You okay? I was just thinking about how different my life is now. 1.5 years ago, I was cleaning offices and hoping Adrian and I could make rent. And now I have everything I thought I'd lost forever. You earned it. All of it. We earned it. She turned to face him. I couldn't have done any of this without you. You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. You saved me first. I think we saved each other. Derek kissed her forehead. Best partnership I've ever had. They stood there together, two people who'd lost everything and found each other, who'd chosen courage over safety, truth over comfort, love over fear. Derek Sinclair and Carmen Torres run Sinclair Systems together. The company has grown by 200% in 2 years and is known for its employee-first policies and ethical business practices. They've established the Raphael and Sarah Foundation, providing scholarships and career mentorship to people who've faced setbacks and discrimination in corporate America. Meridian Corporation is under federal investigation for securities fraud and corporate espionage. 8 executives have been indicted. Sophie Sinclair is studying business ethics at Columbia. She plans to join her father and stepmother's company after graduation. Adrian Torres received a full scholarship to MIT and is studying artificial intelligence. Sometimes the people who save us are the ones we almost didn't see. Sometimes the bravest thing we can do is speak up when silence would be easier. And sometimes the best endings come from the courage to begin again. This was their story, but it could be anyone's. All it takes is one moment of courage. One person willing to say what everyone else is afraid to hear. One hand reaching out in the darkness. And someone brave enough to take it. So what was your biggest takeaway from Carmen and Derek's story? What moment hit you the hardest? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one, and I love hearing your perspectives. If this story moved you, do me a favor. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next inspiring story. We post new content every day. And here's my challenge for you. Think about one area of your life where you've been staying silent because it feels safer. Maybe it's at work. Maybe it's in a relationship. Maybe it's something you've been afraid to pursue. Carmen risked everything to speak up. What would happen if you found your voice too? Share this video with someone who needs a reminder that their voice matters. That courage is contagious. That one person really can make a difference. Thank you so much for watching. Seriously, this community means everything to me. Drop your location in the comments one more time so I can see where this story traveled today. And remember, the person who saves your life might be the one you almost didn't see. Until next time, stay brave. Stay kind. Take care, everyone.